As you know, Harkness is a difficult man to kill. Current theories suggest that his longevity is connected in some way to the Torchwood hub, which necessitated taking out the entire operation.
And he can't still be alive after that.
As I said, awaiting results.
What about these specifications? From the 456, I could barely understand a word of them.
Nor me. But I'm told the translations are excellent. And they've started work. Decker's called in the damage control team. They're working as fast as they can. Early reports are looking, well, let's say, promising.
Can we see it?
They'll be ready to show us work in progress by 1600 hours.
We're building something and we don't even know what it is.
Can I ask, did the 456 contact any other country?
Intel's been listening. No chatter on the wires. Seems like it's only Britain.
And how long can we keep it secret? Given the children's last statement, we are coming back. That's what everyone seems to be asking. When were they here before?
Yes. Well, if that's everything.
Sir, I just wanted to say how grateful I am, sir.
What for?
Well, I know that I'm something of a middleman in these affairs, but just wanted to thank you for trusting me with the responsibility.
All I've done is put you on the front line. That's what the front line's for, John. First to fall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with...
Hello, it's Scott. I'm trying to think of something clever to say, but I only thought of the idea of thinking of something clever to say. As you were saying, as always, I am joined by, and I couldn't think of anything, so I failed.
Your sharp wit is my favorite part of the podcast. But this week we are continuing our dive into Children of Earth. So last week we started with day 1. Have a guess as to what we're looking at this episode. Day 3.
4.
No, day 2. Yeah. We made the same joke. Day 2. Out of the 5 days, we will be covering this for the next 5 weeks still, including the news.
Yeah.
We're Torchwood for a while. We're doing this, covering this whole series, going in as in depth with it as we possibly can, and breaking down each scene. Please do go back and listen to last week's episode if you are curious as to what we thought about day 1.
It would be pretty insane if we just did day 1 and then waited until next year to do day 2.
Yeah.
Or start with day 4 or something.
We'll get to it when we get to it. But before we dive in directly to day 2, Scott, do you have anything to preamble writers' cornery stuff?
This episode has a brand new writer by the name of John Fay, and Russell D. Davies is a big fan of this guy apparently. Like he's a guy who wrote Coronation Street like for the best years between like 2003 and 2007. He was a head writer of some of the best iconic episodes, but of course you and I both like remember
the one with that person who presumably died. The one where that one was in the pub and they had a fight. All those great. Did you say Coronation Street?
Yes.
I've never seen an episode.
Yeah, he's also done episodes of like Robin Hood, which is kind of a Doctor Who replacement. It was situated like 6 p.m. on a Saturday night to, you know, BBC One really wanted to get like Doctor Who audience all year round. They did Robin Hood, we did Merlin. We did the Three Musketeers with Peter Capaldi. Actually, was in the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, I watched Merlin as a kid. I actually really enjoyed Merlin, but eventually dropped off. But I think season 2 was probably the last season I watched. Yeah. I heard it got actually very good in those later seasons, but I never watched it. I've tried going back to watch Merlin, and it's aged terribly.
Yes.
It's really, really hard to watch, so never succeeded in that. I never watched Robin Hood, and I think I watched one episode of that Three Musketeers show with Peter Capaldi. So
Yeah. He also did Primeval, which is another show ITV
classic.
did.
That
too.
one's iconic.
We need to do Primeval. I've seen clips on Twitter resurface recently, and the special effects look fucking awful. So I'm looking forward to going into that one. But yeah, he's John Fay is basically an ITV guy. His last credit is in like 2016, and I don't know what the fuck happened to him. It's been a long while since he's written anything for TV. Give me a second, I'll double check. John Fay.
And it turns out he's written non-stop all the best shows.
Yes,
he's actually Russell T Davies.
His last credit is 3 episodes of an Italian series called Masters of Florence, and that's his last ever TV show. So I don't know what the hell happened to him. It's very bizarre. I don't know if he's on Twitter or anything, but I can't find anything else about him. But yeah, he apparently had a good ITV career going for him, and he left ITV to specifically work with Russell T Davies because I guess he was a big fan. And of course, as we know, this is a writer's room, and as Russell T Davies is pitching his ideas for the series, apparently Russell T Davies called John Fay an absolute genius who pushed him and said no to his ideas a lot. So he was like, Russell, your idea's absolute shit.
That's what we needed for this latest Doctor
Yes.
Who run. Yes.
Why is there a giant dog on the TARDIS? Russell,
Have you seen?
please?
Have you seen the most recent stuff?
Of
with
course
the
I did.
6
I
months?
literally,
Yeah.
yeah. It's. We'll be talking about that at the end of the month. It's some
I'm sure,
interesting stuff. I don't know what's going on with Russell T Davies. He used to be able to communicate things really well within the text of the episode, but now he's like, oh, I guess this wasn't clear enough. I have to explain it. What happened, my dude?
What happened is he wrote some bad scripts, and nobody said anything.
We liked the season overall, though. So
We both averaged 6 out of 10 overall.
which is still pretty solid, I'd rather have a 6 out of 10 than a 4 out of 10 season,
Sure. Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, whole number 5.
But yeah, let's jump into day 2.
Yeah, you idiot.
Hi, I'm Lois.
Where's Frobisher?
He's not coming.
Why not?
My God, this is probably the worst mistake of my life. I've read your files. Some of the stuff you've done, you're like unsung national heroes.
Listen, I don't do autographs and I don't want to be rude, but why am I talking to you and not your boss?
Because if he knew you were here, you'd be dead. He gave the order to have Jack Harkness killed.
You sure?
I've seen it with my own eyes.
We really are in trouble.
Do you know a Captain Andrew Staines?
No.
A Colonel Michael Sanders, Ellen Hunt?
No.
They're all dead. They were killed on the same day as Jack Harkness. I didn't sign the Official Secrets Act to cover up murder. But then I didn't take the job to commit treason on my second day. What am I doing here?
You tell me, Lois.
If you're the bad guys, why doesn't it say that on your file? And if you're the good guys, who am I working for?
Day 2 opens up with a previously on that's genuinely quite good.
Yes.
As far as previously ons go, especially considering how drip fed you are plot in this. Like, they managed to make that the previously on be less about like, oh, this is all the story stuff that happened,
Yeah.
and more about remember the tension that was
Yes.
here, remember how scary this was, as we've just cutting to the kids constantly being like, we are coming, interlaced with like scenes of characters freaking out, being like, what's going on, we gotta
Yeah, and like every scene we pick is more intense than the last. So it's a gradual build up to remember, oh yeah, this is how I felt last night. I was absolutely on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, and that continues on until we come into the episode where we are at the ruined Torchwood HQ. They blew it up at the end of last episode, and through the smoldering ash, we see Gwen Cooper. I remembered her entire name.
I thought you were
come
going to say
running out.
Stacy there. Gwen Stacy from Spider-Man.
Coming out towards the rubble and running into it, being like, oh my god, what happened? She gets grabbed by some medical workers who stuff her into the back of an ambulance, but she's not going down without a fight. Punches one in the dick, concusses the other with a fire extinguisher, and steals his gun, as every good on-call
Paramedic.
ambulance driver.
Every
paramedic
carries a gun, just in case.
Sometimes if there's not enough injured people, you've got to make your own. You've got a quota to match.
But yeah, a really good opening scene. I really like the point of view shots of Gwen's vision, as she's as she's stumbling through the rubble, and the music just cuts out. I think it's really effective. It's a really interesting directing choice or editing choice to cut off the music, because you really feel like you're in Gwen's shoes in that position.
Yeah, I enjoy the music getting cut out for that scene. It did make me question, like, do we even need music in the wider cut? Is the music actually adding anything to the scene here other than, I guess, emphasizing that Gwen can't hear anything, but you can get that if you just did regular environment noises. It's like, why music? But yeah, it is cool. Yeah,
a fantastic opening for Gwen as well, just to remind us that she is an action hero. Like, this is like some of the most action hero shit she does in the entire series.
Punch him
like,
in the dick.
Does
he go down completely after that? Like,
I think so.
'Cause the other guy gets up. That guy's just done.
like that shot of her as she's about to be sniped. That shot of her jumping out of the back of the ambulance, with both guns pointed towards the shooter, is incredible.
It's like a John Woo movie, it just needs to be in slow motion.
Like, that is such a, Gwen's such a great character.
Get some doves in the background. Yeah.
There are so many different layers to Gwen that I enjoy, like in the last, in these 2 episodes alone that we've covered of this series, there's so many different layers to Gwen, and Eve Miles is just nailing the character. She is literally the best part about this show. Like, John Barrowman, not the strongest actor, but they definitely found...
John Barrowman does certain things really well. I don't
like
know
what?
if his range... he does comedy quite well. He can be charming on screen.
Okay, that's fair.
His more dramatic stuff, I think he can handle with the right director.
Yeah.
But not all the time. And he doesn't do anger very well.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't buy it whenever Captain Jack is angry, but in this series, in episode 4 specifically, you can tell that he's doing a decent enough job that's elevated by the director and the editing. So
I think everybody's good. I don't think there's any bad performances in this show. I've not seen any anyway.
In this season specifically, I think there's some bad performances in season 1 and 2.
And this season, everyone is like working at an 11. Like,
yes.
It's absolutely, the acting in this is, especially Peter Capaldi for me, is the standout. Like,
absolutely,
just incredible, absolutely incredible performance.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to get to the end of this. There's so much.
I haven't
left.
seen. I have not seen day 3 yet. So
Oh god.
we are.
You're in
This
for
is
a
the
treat.
most I've seen. This is the most I've seen. But the episode continues on with Yanto coming out of the rubble as well,
done.
and a sniper chasing him through the streets. Thankfully for Yanto, this sniper is like his first day on the job,
Yeah.
or something, because he cannot aim for the life of him, and he's just firing like he's bang 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 bang, every single one of them missing as Yanto runs in a straight line.
It's
but he
it's
gets
that
away.
it's the classic plot armor discussion that we're getting
Oh, yeah.
into, but like at the end of the day, who gives a shit? I think it feels realistic in the moment. If you're not overthinking, you know what I mean? Like I think this is the only
Yeah.
scene where he's directly running away from gunfire, so it's not like the entire episode he's just being chased by guns, you know. Literally being
Yeah,
chased by
yeah.
guns, like sentient guns.
I'd watch that episode. After that, we go to Peter Capaldi, who is, trying to get his kids to bed, but he's a very busy man. We see how stressed out he is. He's getting phone calls left and right. His job don't stop. So he tells his wife to put the kids to bed. Well, a creepy man knocks on his door. This is the creepy man from last episode who's been communicating with the aliens, or has like built the machine that can listen for them, or whatever the fuck it was. And he's extra creepy in this episode. We'll get into it when his scene develop throughout the episode, but in this one he's already oozing creep balls, but he comes in with a pamphlet for like a file even for Peter Capaldi, which is communicated text, translated from the aliens or something.
It's text. We don't really know what's going on at this point, but at the end of the episode, obviously, we find out. But it's for the alien to contain the alien, so they can communicate with the alien when it arrives. Which, as you're watching it, you slowly put together the jigsaw puzzles as to what is actually going on, which I really like. This kind of reminds me of when we're actually building the meth lab in Better Call Saul. It takes you a while to understand what we're actually doing, because there's no point where Gus Fring is like, I'm going to build a meth lab, and Bryan Cranston is going to work in my meth lab. Like I don't think we ever use the word meth lab in Better Call Saul. It takes a while at least for them to mention the fact that
it's been a moment since I watched Better Call Saul, so I don't really remember. I got to rewatch that show. That's a best show ever.
I really want to do a podcast on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it is genuinely.
Why did we choose Doctor Who?
I know, it's terrible. It's such a bad show. This whole episode, or at least a fair chunk with it, specifically the stuff with Peter Capaldi. Have you ever seen Arrival?
Yes, of course, yes.
Reminds me a lot of that.
Yes, when I looked up Torchwood, Children of Earth on Letterboxd to see if I could rate it, like almost everything mentioning Torchwood, Children of Earth is a review of Arrival, and it's like, oh yeah, this is Torchwood, Children of Earth.
It is it's like one specific point from Children of Earth, which is how do we communicate with the alien, and it's just people sitting around discussing that, and it's a genuinely phenomenal movie, absolutely incredible.
I haven't seen it since it came out, but I really need to get back into it.
I watched it for the first time last year.
Oh wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, I watched it alone on acid, so that was an experience.
You should watch
watch
Torchwood on acid. See what that's like.
It'd be amazing. It would be amazing.
Especially Cyberwoman.
Everything is amazing. But don't do drugs. I'm an idiot.
Of course.
And I'm not endorsing anything.
I mean,
stuff at your own risk.
We are doing Torchwood. I feel like the Torchwood characters would endorse drugs. So.
That's true. Yeah.
We're not doing Doctor Who. We're not doing a kids show.
Yeah,
anymore.
this is the adult. Welcome to the adult part of the podcast where we can go fuck.
Whoa. Edgy.
As if we don't swear all the time on the Doctor Who one. But Peter Capaldi ends his scene with a very interesting question of, if the aliens can communicate in this much detail with these like specific instructions, why are they doing that thing with the kids, making them chat? To which Creepy Man goes, because they can.
Yes.
Which
Because
is a
they
great
want
way
to
of being like,
scare
oh,
you.
okay, yeah, they want, yes, which just make you like, okay, holy fuck, so these guys are just extra. They're just extra. They just are very dramatic aliens. These,
And it gives you such great insight to who these aliens are before we even meet them. The idea of these aliens just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff, you know?
yeah.
Like, no spoilers, but yeah.
From there, we are cutting about for to various lots of different things but we're mainly focusing on Gwen, as Gwen is still on the run. She knocks out the paramedics after interrogating the guy, being like, who are you working for? Where are you from? He's like, hey, I was just following orders. I was told to get you. I don't know anything. We see Big Bad Lady, whose name I don't remember, but she's
Johnson, which I feel like they named
Yeah.
her Johnson because Johnson means penis. I feel like that's a
maybe is it also not a thing in Die Hard? The two secret agents are both called Johnson, the two FBI guys.
Here's
it's
the
Johnson. I
part
think
where
it's
I
Johnson.
admit I've never seen Die Hard. I'm sorry.
I hate you. I hate you.
Every Christmas, I'm like, I'm gonna watch at least the first 3 Die Hards this Christmas season.
Yeah.
I mean, I never get round to it. I'm sorry.
The first one, I haven't seen the sequels in a long time, but the first one is genuinely like must watch. Like there's 2 FBI agents and they're partners and they're both called Johnson.
So
But anyway, yeah, she's leading the hit squad, and she runs into, or she doesn't run into, but she's like meets Gwen's old partner from when she was a policeman officer, who is famously called, you told me before we started recording, and I remembered that his name was the thing that you said it was, which
CBB show.
was
Come on, CBB show,
his name,
2002.
His name.
Is a little puppet man. He has a best friend who's a teddy bear. His last name is Pandy.
Andy.
Yeah, there we
his
go.
name is Andy. I really wanted to say Barry. I knew it wasn't Barry, but it was all I could think in my head. Andy, the policeman officer, he is being told that, take us to Gwen Cooper. You know where she lives. You know everything about her. We're going to go and get her. And he's like, she's not who you think she is. She's not a terrorist. She's just regular old Gwen. There's nothing weird about her. And he's consistent in that line the entire time, even in the car when they're like, hey, she's not this. There's nothing going to go wrong here. Even when she fires guns at them, she's like, whoa, that's Gwen's so nice. I swear.
Yeah, so Andy, bringing in Andy to this season of Torchwood, I was so happy they brought him in because he's a part of every season. He's a recurring character, and in a season like this, you'd be forgiven if they don't bring in Andy because the story is so big. You don't really need Andy, but
Yeah.
he comes in and there's he does have some fantastic comic relief. Like, he is a funny character, and he is played great by Tom Price, I want to say. He's really funny. He's a funny man, Andy. Did I get that right?
Tom, you
Hell yeah.
did. Yes, he is most noted for portraying Andy Davidson in Torchwood. Tom Price.
Funny
There
guy.
you go.
He's great in the audio dramas as well. There's a great audio drama where he's framed for being a bad policeman, and Reese really protects him in that story. Reese comes over, orders Chinese, and just protects him from rioters. Rioters? Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Real world issues. Oh no.
Yeah, Christ. Oh well, we're in Scotland. It's all fine here at the minute.
Hopefully it stays
hopefully.
like that.
Hopefully, yeah.
But yeah, Andy's first line is great in this episode. If she's anti-terrorist, I wouldn't mind being Uncle Terrorist. and sorry, going back a bit to a scene in the ambulance with the guy and Gwen. Gwen's like, hey, who do you work for? And the guy's like, we're on the same side. I'm just following orders, which is such an important part of this series. Everybody's on the fucking same side, but we're all kind of like enemies at the same time. There's incredible nuance with every character in this season. It's incredible. Like Peter Capaldi. Whew! Wait until you get to Peter Capaldi.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. In the house, Gwen tells Reese to hurry up and get dressed because they need to go, and he is very much in bed, ready to sleep. I think he's reading or something.
Yeah, he was reading, but he fell asleep.
Yeah. While he's getting dressed, Gwen calls up Yanto.
Or
who's at a payphone.
Yanto calls her, yes.
What's the difference? You know, when was the last time I even spoke on the phone to somebody? I don't know how they work. I genuinely, you know,
like a week ago with my mom. That's the last time, I think.
Yeah. Earlier today, with my mum, for me. But you know, other than that.
Yeah,
not often.
I avoid all calls from work, so I never call work. So
I text my work.
Anyway, a funny moment here where Reese immediately picks up the phone without even thinking, which is you're about to be murdered, dude, and you pick up the phone.
Yeah, and they discuss like, hey, where are we gonna meet? Like we need to try and get together. Yanto's like, hey, they could be listening. We shouldn't really say any locations. And Gwen's like, okay, do you remember where we got ice cream? And Yanto's like, no, I don't like ice cream. What are you talking about? And he doesn't immediately understand what Gwen is talking about, and Gwen just has to hang up because the police are here to shoot her in the face. So
yes,
she's got to run. It's a very funny little scene.
I think it's a scene that shows that Gwen and Yanto really don't socialize outside of Torchwood. You know, they just never do anything together. So she has like big memories of going to get ice cream with somebody, but of course it can't be Yanto because Yanto gets headaches from ice cream, which is like the most pathetic shit ever. But I'm sorry if you're lactose intolerant. I'm sorry if you got offended by that.
Maybe Yanto isn't lactose intolerant, okay? Maybe he stays away from ice cream because he loves ice cream too much that he cannot control himself, and he gets mega brain freeze because he tries to eat it all in one go.
Oh no,
he just gets to code. He's like, oh my god!
I was in the office when my boss and another colleague of mine were having a conversation yesterday, and my colleague was like, oh, I've got a fucking migraine. And my boss was like, "Oh, I only get a sore head when I drink milkshake or eat ice cream too fast." And my immediate response was, "Are you 5? Are you 5? You're 70 years old and you still don't know how to eat ice cream slowly."
Well, sometimes you don't want to eat it slowly. You want to eat it fast because it tastes nice and all your friends are playing outside. Okay?
You have friends?
Maybe that's why you don't get brain freeze anymore. You know? The police, obviously I've talked about Gwen shooting at them already when they get in the car. There's a really good scene with Yanto that builds a nice little bit of tension to show like how paranoid he's feeling when he's walking down the streets and he thinks he's getting followed by this car that's driving really slowly behind him. It comes to a stop and he's like, oh fuck, I'm dead, this is the end of it. A guy that comes out, just drops down some newspapers, gets in the van and goes away. It's a great tiny little scene of paranoia.
It's another scene that reminds me of Better Call Saul. There's an entire episode where Mike's daughter-in-law is paranoid about being gunshots in the neighborhood, and she's like, "See, there's gunshots. There's like a little hole in the wall of my house." And then Mike is like, "Okay, I'm gonna stay the night. If I hear any gunshots, I'll protect you and all that." And so he falls asleep in the van. I mean, he wakes up to the sound of what sounds like gunshots at first, but then he realizes it's somebody driving along the street, throwing newspapers. Similar scene of paranoia.
Yeah. How hard was that guy throwing newspapers? You know,
I know.
Like proper, like, fuck yeah.
It's like that NES game, Paperboy, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I played that.
A classic.
I think I had a Game Boy version of Paperboy when I was a kid.
Oh wow, the Stone Age.
Yeah. Goddamn. With Peter Capaldi and his brat of a kids, he's telling them, "Hey, I'm really worried about you, so can you keep your phone on you at school today?" To which the kids are like, "What? Keep our phones on us at school? We can't take our phones to school. Are you crazy?" Which is just one of the most 2009 things I think I've ever witnessed on TV before. Genuinely made me go, "Oh, Jesus Christ."
Yes,
time without phones.
I was in primary school when this episode aired, and I remember specifically people did have phones. It was like 1 or 2 kids, or maybe 3 kids in the class who brought their phones with them. I remember specifically taking a selfie with my friend with their phone, but of course this was before smartphones. So so we're holding the camera. Obviously, the camera isn't where the screen is. So we're holding the camera and just hoping that both of us fit inside the picture. I think we must have tried it 4 times, and we're like, we're not getting in the picture. It's impossible.
Yeah, you just gotta get someone else to take the photo. You just gotta get a third person involved.
We did miss the scene where the SWAT team go into Yanto's sister house, and
oh, of course, the bare ass. Yes. I figured you'd want to talk about the bare ass. Yeah.
But yeah, the boyfriend does have a funny line. The boyfriend is a funny character.
He does. I enjoy the boyfriend as a character for sure, and this is the first of 2 asses in this episode, if I remember correctly. There's another ass.
Yeah, Captain Jack's ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's America's ass.
So. But yeah, it's a fun little scene. Her boyfriend sleeps like a maniac. I don't know. Do you sleep? Are you a? I don't understand people that sleep on their face.
No.
I can't fathom people that sleep on their belly with their face in the pillow. My younger sister, she sleeps like that. And like whenever I'm like, you're gonna die. That's
Yeah, for me, it's usually to my right side. That's where I lie, and I kind of curl up. Like a little
position.
baby. Yeah,
like you go into a fetus. Yeah. No, I'm the same. I sleep either on my right, or I move a lot in my sleep. I'm very restless. But I'm also fetus positioned. Whenever I'm snuggling up. But the 2 kids make fun of Peter Capaldi when he's going to leave, because he's like, "Hey, that really scared me and traumatized me, and I'm really worried about you." So they're like, "We're going to take advantage of this because you've revealed a weakness to us, you fool," any kid does.
Yep.
And they try to get a pony out of it,
which is the most 2009 posh kid. English kid kind of energy who wants just ponies.
We want to. I mean, even Lisa Simpson wanted a pony.
Yeah,
you know.
Which I don't think she's asked for a pony in a while. It's been a while since she's asked for a pony. To be fair, I've only seen like a third of the episodes that have been out in the last decade. But
I'm gonna ChatGPT will know.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Well,
I think
we're gonna find out.
Okay. When was the last time pizza? Lisa.
Last time pizza asked for a pony.
In The Simpsons.
Lisa Simpson asked for a pony in the first episode. I didn't ask for when the first fucking thing was. I went with the latest example. Her most recent mention of wanting a pony occurred in the episode titled A Springfield Summer Christmas for Christmas, which is the 10th episode of the 32nd season of The Simpsons. Originally aired December 13th, 2020. So it's been 4 years since Lisa asked for a pony.
Is this a real episode?
Bet you didn't expect. I bet you didn't expect that.
It's probably fake, to be honest, but okay, it is a real episode. Okay.
I believe it. In the episode, Lisa asks for a pony as a gift, continuing her long-standing dream of owning one. This episode revolves around a television executive who comes to Springfield to film a Christmas movie and includes various references to typical holiday wishes and themes.
Of course it does.
There you go. There's a fun little fact about season 32 of The Simpsons on this Torchwood Day 2 review. So.
But yeah, Peter Capaldi's wife is like, hey, is there something we should worry about? And Peter Capaldi's like, no, we shouldn't worry about anything. It's perfectly fine. All the kids are perfectly fine. And in the script, it says, and he exits with plenty to worry about, which is a nice little script thing.
Yeah. That is fun. We then cut to various characters, like Captain Jack's daughter and things like that, listening to the news as all the rest of the characters are finding out about the explosion in Cardiff that blew up Torchwood HQ. Sorry, I'm saying like 1,000 times. I'm focusing on it. Who's the name? What's the name of intern
Lois?
in day one? Say it again.
Lois Griffin.
Lois.
Peter.
Yes, Lois Griffin. She's listening into this thing that's going off on the news about the explosion in Cardiff, and she computer hacks like someone's Facebook account when actually you just know their password into her boss's email and sees an email regarding Captain Jack Harkness, who of course is goo now. He is a
totally
gooey
dead
guy. Yeah, completely, utterly dead. Which brings us to the next scene, which is probably possibly my favorite scene in the episode.
I'm pretty sure this scene is a last-minute replacement, because in the book, Russell T Davies talks about this episode being undercooked. I think it's like 5 minutes we needed to add in, and it is not on the script on the BBC website. And this is a fucking great last-minute addition to the episode if it is a last-minute rewrite. It's,
as I just said, it's like my favorite part of the episode.
Yes.
The rest of the episode is kind of like dumb action, running away, cops and, cat and mouse the episode, whereas this is a quiet bit of contemplation, a lovely little bit of drama, where Peter Capaldi is delivering the news to the Prime Minister, being like, hey, cool, so Captain Jack's probably dead. We're keeping an eye on it. We're going to see what's going to happen. Everybody else is currently getting hunted down. He's basically just briefing him on everything. And he goes to leave, and he's like, hey, by the way, Prime Minister, I just want to thank you for giving me, this opportunity and trusting me with these huge decisions that, you didn't want to make. And I'm usually just the middleman, a paper pusher, and this is the most I've ever had to do. And the Prime Minister's like, lol, you're a body shield. I'm making you do shit that's going to end your career.
Yes, I feel like the scene could have ended with a close-up on Peter Capaldi kind of being like, oh, this is not good, or whatever, kind of contemplating what's going on, but it's a real eye-opener of a scene where, Peter Capaldi is playing a decent guy. Frobisher, by the way, I forgot to mention it in episode 1. Frobisher is the name of the Doctor's companion, who's a shape-shifting alien who likes to take the form of a penguin in like the comic books. So when Peter Capaldi was cast as Frobisher, you got people on the messaging boards being like, is this the Penguin? Is this the Penguin dude from the comics? And of
Could
course
be.
it is. It
Could
is.
be.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course. Yes.
yeah. And it's taken the form of Peter Capaldi because it recognizes that that's what the Doctor looks like, and it thought it was a very handsome version.
But yeah, you really feel sorry for Peter Capaldi in this scene. You can kind of
Yes.
imagine him as a person who wants to become Prime Minister and somebody who would be a great Prime Minister. But, you know, he never got quite that high, and he's been pushed around with his entire life. And he just feels so sorry for the guy. Oh.
Yeah, it's a genuinely like really, really well acted scene. It's really quiet, and it's just these two people chatting to each other in this room, which is like checks all the boxes of things that I like on TV. It is interesting thinking about it from like do we learn anything really new here?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely
we
not,
can
no.
kind of picked up in the last episode when the Prime Minister is like, "Don't tell me anything I don't want to know." That he's basically throwing Capaldi under the bus. He doesn't want to be involved in anything this bad. But this is just explicitly saying it. But I do think it works as a character moment more than an exposition moment.
Yes.
Because Capaldi never realized that. He was like, "Oh shit, I've got so much responsibility now." And actually it's like, "Oh shit, I'm dead." This is, I've just been fucked.
And again, this goes into all the nuances of each character. He's a good person who has to make really terrible decisions, like the most terrible decisions any character could do in this season. I think, like he holds so much
interesting.
power.
Interesting. We then go to Captain Jack's arm, which is sticking out of the rubble and isn't attached to anything else. So that is all that is left of poor Captain Jack. Just his arm.
I do wonder if you shipped his arm to like Australia, his leg to like China, etc., etc., would Captain Jack still reform, or would he just become the face of Bo, I guess?
No. You would get 4 Captain Jacks.
Like the Family Guy
Each
joke.
limb. Each limb returns into its own Captain Jack. He duplicates and duplicates again. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's how the face of Bo happens. You know, all the limbs get cut off except that, and it's shipped around. It's just the head, and it's like, well, I'm just going to continuously expand. Which, yeah, that's not a bad theory on how the face of Bo.
It is funny, but Captain Jack, the man who likes to give head, presumably became a massive head himself. That is poetry. It rhymes.
It does. Yeah. I remember that reveal blowing my mind as a kid. That like even if it basically doesn't make sense.
No,
but
what works about the reveal is it's just thrown away at the end of the episode. There's no time to be like, "Oh my god, Captain Jack is the face of Bo." Oh my god.
Yeah,
just
it's like, what
oh,
the
by
fuck?
by the way,
like,
by the way, my co-workers called me the face of Bo. Goodbye.
yeah,
You have no time to think about it.
It's like a flashbang of a reveal. Where are we? Are we caught up? Have we got?
We've got Alice trying to call her dad, which is heartbreaking because, you know, even though there's that conflict of I don't want you to see my son and all that because you're dangerous, it still obviously shows that she really cares about her father. You know, it's a sweet little scene as she's trying to make sure he's okay. It's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. Little does she know that Captain Jack's in for a pleasant time this episode. He's got such an easy day ahead of him. Day 2, what a breeze. What a breeze of a day.
That is a point I wanted to raise. When this season of Torchwood was announced to be 5 episodes, John Barrowman was kind of upset, to say the least. You know, he felt like he was being punished or whatever, I think is the quote, which feels like it's John Barrowman making it all about him. You know, this is a decision that affects all the cast and crew, not just him. But
I don't think there's any evidence of John Barrowman being selfish.
But He was probably quite upset to find out he's only really in 4 episodes, because here he's got under 5 minutes of screen time, I think it is. So he's really not in this episode at all. I think he has like 7 lines or something. Like hardly anything to do in this episode at all, apart from just saliva and scream.
Easy payday. Easy payday.
True.
There's a scene with Peter Capaldi and a new lady whose name I said earlier in the episode, Lois.
Yes.
Hey, Peter.
Peter!
She grills Capaldi on who Captain Jack Harkness is and what Torchwood is, and, because she got all this information, both from snooping on the emails, but she cleverly covers it by referencing the time that Captain Jack phoned her to be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And which I think is a direct quote. They managed to dismiss basically a lot of the things that she was asking without giving her any answers, but
wait a minute.
Curious for more.
Wait a minute. Dismiss things people are asking but not giving any answers. What is this? Are we like politicians or something?
Yeah, maybe. There's maybe. I'm gonna dismiss what you're saying and not answer it directly as we move on to our next scene, which is Yanto Jones in his favorite hobby of all time, watching newspapers being delivered.
Is he
Two
watching?
asses.
Is he watching? He's watching the paramedics lift Captain Jack's arm.
Sorry, yeah. He's watching the paramedics. That's what I get for scrolling through the thumbnails.
Yeah, there's a
instead
newspaper.
Of watching.
His brother-in-law gets a newspaper, but not him.
Yes. The running themes in this episode: bare asses and newspapers. These are recurring motifs. Yeah. As the newspaper gets delivered, as does one of the greatest lines in television history, gets delivered as well, from the young boy who comes down the stairs and says, "That letter's from Uncle Yanto. Don't tell anybody. They're listening."
He's like, "Oh, that's probably from Uncle Yanto. Shh, they're probably listening." And it's like, okay, little boy, you're intelligent enough to realize that you're probably being bugged and you're probably being listened to, but at the same time, you reveal quite important information that you just got something from Uncle Yanto. Kid, what the fuck?
Not only that, yeah, the line delivery for it makes absolutely no sense. The kid's acting is terrible. This feels like a first take.
Yeah.
Like the awkwardness of it, the weird and I wonder if it's almost like a note they had when they were filming of being like, oh hey, why how are we letting them know that this is a letter from Yanto, and also letting them be we don't need to, he's been spying on the guys outside. Yes. We don't need to hear the house is bugged, by the way. It feels like over exposition that doesn't need to exist.
And they have a little conversation when the sister opens up the letter and you can see it's from somebody called I. Who else has their name starts with an I in this episode?
I don't think we need the scene, the letter coming through the door, and then when you cut immediately to, them in the living room, the kid, the dad's being like, oh, they're so traumatized, blah, blah, blah.
He says the little boy pissed himself, pissed his bed.
Pissed the bed. Yeah, he pissed the bed. Which, I'm sure we've all been there. I'm sure
of course,
it's, but, that's way more impactful, and then the reveal of the mum reading the letter, and it's from Yanto, and it's saying meet us here. That's, as an audience member, makes me go, oh shit, more than shh, they're listening. It's from Yanto, by the way. I'm saying it's full volume. Shh.
Yeah, and that scene is so easy to cut out of the episode as well. Once you realize that it probably doesn't work, very bizarre.
Yeah. Maybe they have. You said that they were running short in this episode anyway, so maybe they just had to keep it in. Maybe they just straight up couldn't cut it. But there's a really great little character bit here where when she's freaking out and she's like, what's Yanto getting us involved in? Why did he send us to our house? He's putting our kids in danger. The husband, I don't remember names, consoles her.
I don't know
either. Yeah, he consoles her by being like, we're the only family that Yanto's got. He's got nowhere else to turn, so he's coming to us, And it's a very powerful moment. And like he's the brother-in-law, like he's just that, and he's a real good partner, good dad, really cares about his kids, cares about his extended family. What a dude.
Yeah, and it gets addressed more later, but you can this community we're currently in, the street we're currently in, is a community full of different kind of characters who feel like a family, because obviously later on there's like 10 kids that come out with him to harass the secret agent dudes, whatever they're called.
Yeah. Do they work for UNIT? Are these guys UNIT? Are they separate? Or just like secret government branch?
I think they actually just work for the government proper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's too many.
I'm not really sure what UNIT is actually doing during this time. I know the Colonel guy has meetings with the Prime Minister later on, but I don't know what UNIT. What is Kate Lethbridge Stewart doing during this time? Just standing around.
What's the snake guy doing? What's he doing at this time,
Oh, God.
Anyway, we cut to a very brief scene of a spooky-looking place where they're dragging Captain Jack's arms and knees and toes, I think, is the parts that are left, and a head as well, wasn't it? While his daughter tries to get in contact with she's phoning somebody. Is she trying to phone Jack?
I think she's just trying to phone him again, which is needed
her
because
super modern phone.
Which is nice that they are able to show that she is really trying to contact him. It's not like a once and done kind of thing. It's constantly on her mind throughout the entire day. Is my dad okay? Is my dad okay? I'll try phoning him again, which is a nice little character moment, which we don't sit with his character and give her dialogue saying, "Oh, I really hope my dad's okay." We get it.
Yeah,
we don't need.
Shh, they're listening. It's a nice little scene. I like her phone the most. She has to touch Jack's name 4 times really hard to get the phone to actually respond to the input, which is great. Out the back of the phone is just a digital camera. Do you remember when they came out with that design? I thought that design was cool as fuck as a kid. I was like, holy shit, there's a camera. That's a phone and a camera. Look, it's like a proper camera.
Oh, God. Yes. Late 2000s mobile phones are insane to think about now.
It's crazy everybody trying to figure out the next design. Like, everyone's agreed, like, okay, touchscreen's kind of the way, but how are we getting the camera on the back? How's that going to work? Does our phone slide up still? Is that...
Oh, God. Terrible times.
What a time. What a time. A time of innovation. We don't have any innovation now. We then cut to Gwen and Reese trying to figure out where they're going to go. And Reese is emptying his bank account, getting as much money as he can. And they're like, where are we going to go? Gwen spots a security camera and she's like, London. Of course. That's where we need to go. The camera.
Yeah, so Reese is trying to get as much money as he can, but he's being locked out of his account, as is Gwen. So they can't get any money right now. And obviously we're being watched, but Gwen's like, we have to go to London because that's where everything is happening. That's where all the plot points are currently happening. So we have to get right over to London. And Reese has a great line where he's like, London, but everything's more expensive there.
Yeah, He's got his priorities straight. But what I really like is there's a scene in this when Reese is trying to get his money out that is live footage from the cash machine. Which I like the implication that every single cash machine has got an HD camera inside of it that has a dedicated guard watching it, live streaming every single interaction and approving or disapproving every single one that comes through the machine. What a wonderful world.
Oh my god, that's how I thought security cameras would work as a kid. I used to just stand in the mall and look up at the camera and wave. And I expected somehow to see somebody waving back at me inside the camera.
There's a little man in there. He controls it. He moves it around.
But yeah, this scene is
seeing your own reflection.
But this scene is shot really great because every angle of Gwen and Reese is either shot through glass or like revolving doors, which really makes it feel claustrophobic, and it's like we're being watched constantly, which is really good. It feels like The Curse, that Paramount Plus show.
Yeah. God, that was a cool show.
It was.
It was indeed. Back with Peter Capaldi, very briefly, they're climbing up a building. Anyway, let's go look at...
climbing up a building. Yeah, they're climbing up a building like Spider-Man, which is a strange direction to go for these characters, to suddenly reveal they have superpowers. But
if you are climbing upstairs, you are technically climbing up a building.
Technically, but climbing up a building suggests you're outside the building.
Well, maybe to you. Anyway, it's unimportant. Oh my god, name, evil lady who's
Johnson,
in charge.
penis lady.
Johnson, yes.
Just think penis.
Die Hard. Think Die Hard. I gotta think Die Hard. She's like, hey, is anything going on with the corpse? And the guy's like, no, nothing at all. Nothing's happening. And then, of course, something starts happening. Make him look like the biggest prick in the world. Like you, as we see like little bubbles coming up inside the body bag. And there's this lovely slimy noise going on as a sound effect. And it's a superb looking effect.
Yes.
It is so goddamn simple, and it just makes me go ugh, because it's so gross. I've got to try and use that. Like it's so easy done as well.
Oh,
like
God,
if you have a like inflatable bed or anything that can take air, slowly inflate it, play some noises, and you've recreated the shot. It's incredible.
It's a great use of money. It's a really low budget effect. You don't have to add CGI or anything. It's just any other TV show would probably add CGI in this scene now. It's not needed.
Yeah, and they go down to investigate it, and they're like, okay, so there's a full-on skeleton in here, a whole skeleton. When they unzip it, it's a great reveal. It's like the Master's back. The Skullmaster.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but have you ever seen the music video for Robbie Williams' Rock DJ?
Why would I?
Well, it's a disturbing video. I need to actually show you. It's I want you to see this video. So the plot of this video is that Robbie Williams is in like in a dance club, and he's trying to get the attention of the DJ playing the music. And as he's dancing, he's like, I'm not getting any attention, so he starts stripping off his clothes. And then he's still not getting any attention, so he starts ripping off the flesh off of his body, and he becomes this creepy skeleton dude at the end of the music video. It's fantastic.
What a weird music video.
I think it's like from 1999 or something. It scarred me as a kid. Creeped me the fuck out.
It's pretty interesting. I've never seen that music video before. I have never heard that song before. Terrible song. Didn't like it.
Wow. You have no taste, sir. I
thought that the prosthetics on that were incredible. Like
Yeah.
that, it's like a horror movie. It was insane, and the CGI looks terrible. But that was a grotesque. What an insane music video. It doesn't feel like it fits the song.
I think I saw that for the first time when I was like 3 or 4. It was on a when music videos used to play at hairdressers, we would just have the music channel playing or whatever, MTV, and that video came on and scarred the shit out of me as a kid. Terrifying.
It is insane. It is an insane video. Back with Peter Capaldi walking down through, he's with Creepy Man and his whole gang of Lady, who's his assistant, and his assistant's assistant, who's the new one, Lois.
Yes. The other assistant is Bridget Spears. I remember that because I keep on thinking Britney Spears.
They're heading down into, or up. Are they going up or down?
Yeah, we're on the 13th floor. Remember, we just saw them walk
spooky.
upstairs. Remember, we had the
13.
remember we had the whole conversation about them climbing up the building.
Scaling up a building. Yeah, they Spider-Man'd up. Yeah. But they are on the 13th floor, which, as everybody knows, is the evil floor.
Yes.
And one of the dumbest facts about American buildings that I know is a lot of them don't have a 13th floor because of superstitions, which makes no sense, because even if you don't number it 13 and you number it 14, it's still the 13th.
I think in China they go one step
beyond.
beyond.
China's another one.
I can't remember what they do, but I think it's like the 3rd floor, 13th floor, 23rd floor. They skip all those numbers out because I think the number 3 itself is bad, or I think it's number 8. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've heard this. Yeah, I was about to say conspiracy theory. It's a superstition.
Oh, it's just a which I mean, what's really the difference between a superstition and a conspiracy theory? It's a fine line. But it's the dumbest thing ever, and if you're afraid of the number 13, I'm afraid are dumb. I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid of you.
Oh my god, that's why everyone was so scared of Jodie Whittaker. Oh my god, it makes sense now. That's why everybody was stabbing each other when Jodie Whittaker was cast.
That's
An actual thing, an actual thing that a person and a politician said, by the way. But I've seen female characters like the female Ghostbusters and Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor would lead men to stab people. Insane. An actual thing.
When it happened, we actually talked about it on the podcast, and I put the clip of him saying it into the episode we talked about. I don't remember what episode it was, so go back and hunt that down. But I remember that was like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I think
like
2021,
it was.
Yeah.
It was so long ago now. Like it was like 15 governments ago. Insane. But they head into this like construction site, and they all put hard hats on, except Lois isn't allowed to go in. So why'd you bring her?
I know, yeah. Just she's already asking too many questions, and then you bring her up to the 13th floor where she can see through those. I don't know what they're called, but it's not a door. It's kind of like these little blinds, whatever you want to call them. But she can see through them.
They're like sheets.
Yeah,
it's plastic.
It's what you'd see in a supermarket or whatever, and you can see through them. It also reminds me of the actual first time we see Torchwood at the end of series 2, where the Cybermen are all being kept. There's a lot of those kind of sheets.
Oh my god, yeah. That's all I always think about that whenever I see the plastic sheets. I'm like, there's a Cyberman behind that. I'm gonna die. It scarred me as a kid. Terrifying. And not Martha's cousin gets murdered inside it. Yeah. But yeah, there's like, oh, there's some welding going on back there, I guess. Interesting. As we then go back over to Gwen and Reese, who are sneaking into a truck, into a lorry, into the back of a lorry, because Reese is a lorry hacker or something. He's like...
because obviously Reese drives a lorry. We saw him in a lorry in the episode 1 in the opening montage, this scene, he's like, "Oh, I drive an electric lorry. You know, the door closes electrically. This one is, you know, the kind of like the, what do you call them? Like the." You tie it up. My lorry is more sophisticated. as his whole speech here, which is very funny.
Yeah, and he's like, you know, I'm getting really hungry because of that chipper down the road. But if we get in now, there will be food in here. This is a produce carrying lorry, so we're going to be fine for food. They get in, and lo and behold, it's just a lot of potatoes. It's just potatoes as far as the eye can see. The smell inside that would have been kind of overwhelming, I imagine. That's a lot of starch.
Especially when it's the morning and you have morning sickness, presumably. That smell when you're pregnant.
Yeah, they climb up onto some potatoes at the highest point as the lorry driver comes back. Does the worst job ever checking for, like, he's like, oh, that thing's come undone. I wonder if anybody climbed inside. Because, like, even though, like, the plastic tarp is, like, folded up a bit, like, people have just climbed inside of it, he just sticks his head and he's like, no one's there, fuck it. And he just ties it up again.
Dude, you don't get paid enough for shit like that, you know?
As a lorry driver, you get paid pretty darn well, and I expect perfection from every single lorry. I want pure commitment. If you're not committed to climb in over the produce with your filthy boots that you were just walking around everywhere with and squishing everything, I want you to look underneath every potato, you know, at every single stop you make. Otherwise, you don't deserve to be in the job. It's that simple.
No, this reminds me of just me at work. I work retail, and I sometimes have to let shoplifters just go because you never know if they have a knife or something. You don't chase shoplifters. That's a suicide pact. Because one time I chased a shoplifter, got headbutted in the head, and then I later found out, according to the police, they told us, don't let this shoplifter spit on you, because he carries really nasty diseases. So
very cool.
So yeah, I got headbutted by this guy.
How tall was that guy? How tall was that?
Like 6'1". I'm 6'3", so he was able to do that. Yeah.
It's like if he was able to get your head, because you know.
I mean,
you're building to scale.
And then I returned to work the next day, and the police are about to question me about this shoplifter. And I arrived to work, and across the street, this shoplifter is being arrested because he stole from another store just across the street.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking idiot.
I have only worked in retail very briefly. A couple Christmases ago, I worked in retail, and I never had to deal with any shoplifters. I worked in produce.
Lucky you.
I just moved veg. I didn't pay attention to anything going on. And whenever anybody asked, hey, do you have this vegetable? I would go and sit in the fridge for a while.
I love doing that. Whenever somebody's like, hey, do you have whatever? And then you're like, yeah, I'll go back and check. And then I check my phone I catch up on my emails for a bit, you know. And I come out, no, we don't have any. I looked really hard.
Yeah. Although my one thing that I had when I was working in that job is there were some days where it was nonstop because it was super busy and you were just constantly shifting veg, and those days were great. Days when nothing is happening, holy shit! You have nothing to do. Every manager is looking at you like you should be doing something, and so you're just like, I don't know. There's nothing to do right now. I don't know what you want from me. Awful time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we find out that Gwen's preggers. Big reveal spoiler, in this potato lorry. We don't find out immediately. They have a little bit of a fun back and forth, and we cut around between that and Yanto's scene. But we'll chat about Yanto afterwards. We're just focusing on Gwen at the minute, where I think they handle it well, where she doesn't outright say it, and she's waits for Reese to catch up with what she's hinting at, and eventually he catches on to it. I think it's a cute little moment and a nice moment for our characters to be like rest and have some joy together before all the chaos starts again.
Because, in most other movies or shows, we're doing this while we're being shot at or shit like that. You know what I mean? It's
I'm pregnant. Oh my God, marry me.
like here, I mean, we have to, it was like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. We have to just sit here. Of course, we're going to have this conversation. It makes perfect sense. And
it's really the only opportunity you're going to get.
Yeah, it's really lovely stuff. We do cut to Captain Jack screaming for a little bit, and then we cut back to the lorry where Reese is like, "Oh, I'm so uncomfortable. This is torture." I feel like, obviously that must be a joke. That must be like a smash cut, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like the editing lets that a bit down, because we go from Captain Jack screaming. Then we cut to the lorry. We shot of the lorry for like 2 seconds. And then Reese says, "I'm uncomfortable." I feel like Reese should have said, "I'm uncomfortable," over the scene of Captain Jack screaming. So, the joke lands much better that way, I feel like. Just the juxtaposition of Captain Jack having the worst day of his life, and Reese is the one uncomfortable.
Well, as I've never been a fleshy, screaming flesh monster before, and I've never sat on top of potatoes for a long period of time before. So really, I can't comment on which one would be worse.
But there's obviously the scene where Gwen is trying to hint that she's pregnant towards Reese, and there's a big pause. In the script, it said it's a pregnant pause, which is really nice. I like that. It's funny.
It is a funny bit of writing that unfortunately can never be seen on screen.
But yeah, I fucking love the relationship between Reese and Gwen here. It's just perfect. The first thing that comes out of his mouth as he realizes, he's like, "Oh no." And you're like, "Oh, is this a positive thing? Is this a negative thing?" I mean, it turns into a positive thing, but with some questions of how the hell are we going to deal with this pregnancy and work around your job at Torchwood? This is going to be hard. Yeah. That's a tough one. When you have aliens fucking shooting at you every fucking week, how the hell can you raise a baby? Especially in this world where maybe all the kids are going to die anyway. That
sounds like a setup to a sitcom. It's handled really well, and I like these two characters. I'm glad when Reese was first introduced in like series 1, I didn't expect him to stay as a character. I'm glad that he does. It's kind of fun.
And I love the fact that they actually bring him into the Torchwood stuff. He's not a proper team member, but he does team member stuff. He works alongside Gwen this entire episode, and he's not too bad at it. He does a terrible thing later on, but we'll get there.
Okay.
In this episode, of course.
I don't really remember. It's been over a week since I watched this episode, so we're going to find out. Over to the Yanto stuff. Let's first talk about how much of a fucking king his brother-in-law is, as his sisters needs to go out to visit into the place where their dad broke Yanto's leg, is what the letter said. And so husband is like, "Okay, I'm going to gather up the local hoodlums from the town. We're going to march up to these secret agents, and we're going to call them pedos and shake their car until they either go away or you get out."
Yes.
And it's a brilliant plan, and it works flawlessly.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic little scene. It's very funny.
Yeah, you block every angle they can't see the car they're supposed to be watching. It's a perfect foolproof plan. They're startled. It's perfect.
It is just flawless. It's genuinely flawless. He continues to be a top tier character.
And episode 1 we get the exposition of they live in a bad neighborhood. The Torchwood SUV gets stolen. And episode 2, it comes in handy. It's natural stuff. It really works.
It really does. It really does. It's characters that feel like they belong in the environments that they're like. They feel like they live in that environment. They feel authentic and they feel like real people. It's very, very well written. Speaking of, Yanto and his sister have a chat in the park. And we don't learn a whole lot of new information, but we get some great little character stuff with Yanto. We learn more about his emotional state, where he's explaining that Captain Jack blew up, that Captain Jack was maybe that was the guy that I was shagging, we were talking about earlier, I don't know, that Gwen's alive, and that this is what he's like, this is the big reveal to his sister about what his job is and what he does and what's going, like, this is a lot of information to dump on somebody, but she handles it pretty well, as they're watching the kids play at the park.
There's also the line where Yanto is like, my dad pushed me too hard on the swing. That's how I broke my leg. And the sister's like, you should have held on tighter. This is probably what the dad thought at the time and what the dad told the sister. And it does sound like an abusive kind of household they grew up in, which is why, obviously, Yanto is estranged from his sister, essentially, which... I'm glad this is such a nice little character moments for Yanto, who doesn't really get much to do in the first 2 series of his show, so it's nice to see 2 seconds, forgot his name, got the actor's name. Yanto Torchwood actor Gareth David Lloyd. It's nice to see Gareth David Lloyd get some really meaty stuff to do in this episode.
Yes, it is, and he's great. He's great in so far every episode I've seen with Yanto in it. He's like, even in series 1, like when he's not doing a lot, he's like one of my favorite characters. I'm always happy when Yanto is there. He's got just a natural charisma that makes him very likable.
It feels authentic. He feels like the most authentic person. It just feels like he just pointed the camera towards just a regular dude.
Yeah. We get then the kids start being weird again at the play park. They all freeze up again, and we cut across to our various locations, like with the lorry driver and things like that as well when this happens. So this is again affecting everybody around the world. This is affecting, all of our main characters in the story. And the kids start chanting, "Hey, we're showing up tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow." And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like the weird chanting kids. I don't know what shows up tomorrow, if anything shows up tomorrow. I haven't seen day 3 yet. I'm experiencing this story for the first time, so I'm very curious to see if these aliens are actually going to show up. I'm extremely curious to see what they actually look like when we get towards the end of this episode and we see the thing that they build for them. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this just a rival? Are they going to be giant hands? So I'm looking forward to it. It's the creepiness and the intrigue. I am hoping is something that continues to either build or have a satisfying conclusion to. On the edge of my
and having the kids say, "Oh yeah, the big important plot stuff is going to happen tomorrow," is kind of important for this point of the episode, because we just had like 5 minutes without much happening. It's just all character stuff. There's not much tension going on in these scenes, so it feels natural for this point to be like, yeah, we need to remind the audience that keep watching. There's more important stuff coming tomorrow. Keep watching. And you are intrigued. It really works, because I remember watching this for the first time being like, oh my god, now I have to watch it tomorrow. I'm so excited.
It is interesting that each episode is 58 minutes to an hour long, And this like I think I felt the runtime a lot more in day one, whereas there's a lot more plot happening in day one as well. Where day two, things I think are a lot slower. It's a lot more of not doing much, but I think everything that it is doing really well, that I'm entertained enough, and it's just breezing by. I don't feel the runtime so much in this one. But yeah, over with Peter Capaldi again, and Lois, and Lois's boss.
Yes. Bridget Spears.
Bridget Jones, is that a thing? Bridget Jones,
Bridget Jones'
Diary. I want to say
yes,
Diary.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, they are getting inundated with phone calls. There's phone calls happening all over because obviously people are freaking out over the thing that's happening with the kids again. The aliens are showing up tomorrow. There's a massive terror alert because of it. Nobody really knows what to expect. Peter Capaldi's trying to get on the phone to his daughters. He also wants to get on the phone to the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Also, his wife wants to talk to him.
What I really love about this scene is it shows John Frobisher's priorities. First, he says...
He's such a good dad.
Yeah.
Two good dads in this.
Yeah, he asks his secretary to first get in contact with his kids, try and make them reach out to him, so make sure they're okay and all that, and then get me with PM, which is really nice. It really shows you who Peter Capaldi is. He's a family man. It's lovely. You know, I just watched Tim Waltz speak at a campaign earlier. I was live earlier. And he's the same thing. He's a family man. It makes him really likable, you know. Good stuff.
Yeah. Who knew that just being a lovable, likable, friendly guy is a quality trait? It's strange. It goes again. I thought I was supposed to be toxic and manly.
I thought we were supposed to mention. Things. I thought we were supposed to mention Hannibal Lecter every 10 minutes. Well, the late
great Hannibal Lecter.
God knows what the fuck is wrong with him.
Hey, that's the next president you're talking about. Oh my god, I've completely lost what the fuck I even was. Gwen phones up. She's like right outside Parliament, and she phones up being like, hey, can I speak to Peter Capaldi, please? And she gets on the phone to Lois, who's like, he's busy at the minute, you know, can I like take a message or whatever? And she starts grilling Lois, being like, hey, we're from Torchwood. Why are you guys trying to kill us? What's going on? Obviously, Lois doesn't know anything, but she's at this point gathering lots of information, piecing the puzzle together herself. And I think she does a good job of towing that, like, she's actually getting more information out of Gwen than Gwen is getting from her, because Lois has nothing to give, but Gwen is giving up all the stuff that she already knows. And it's pretty cool. I'm interested in what happens with Lois as well. I don't really know what she's planning on doing when she finds out everything. Interesting.
We also cut to Clem, the little guy. Well, the little guy, the guy who was a little boy in 1965, who we haven't seen much in this episode.
Yeah, we saw him earlier. We never mentioned it. He was walking down the street and picked up a newspaper. Compelling.
But yeah, here he is in a bar. He's also talking, doing the voice thing that all the kids are doing.
Yeah.
And then he comes out of it, and everybody's like, "You said you're coming tomorrow? What's this all about?" and then he starts sniffing the air. He smells something. Oh my god, we're coming. And he asks, shut the fuck up, you immature child.
I'm a grown up.
And then he asks the barmaid, do you smell that? Do you smell that? And in the script, the barmaid was supposed to say, I didn't do anything. I didn't fart.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's beautiful. And then he runs out of the building. The Clem stuff, first of all, I understand Clem is probably a real name. Whenever I hear it, it makes me think of Clom from Love and Monsters.
How many people are called
Clementine? Surely it's short for Clementine or Clements.
There are 1.81 people named Clem for every 100,000
1.81.
Americans.
Oh, sorry, I thought that's it's just 1.81 per people in total.
The name is most often used as a last name 68% of the time. So close to being nice.
So close. So close to being. Oh, you could change that. Change your last name to Clem and get it to 69%.
It is the 58,565th most common name in the world. So there's like 60,000 more common names than that.
Probably both your and I's name is much more common than Clem. We have Scott and Matthew are two extreme. I know so many Matthews, it's unreal.
I know so many Scots. I know
loads of Scots as well. Yeah,
so
I know
many.
a bunch of Scots. Yeah.
You know a bunch of Scots? We're in Scotland. Of course you do.
Oh,
Got
way. Anyway,
but of course, Yantos tries to speak to the little kid. Of course, he gets pushed away, called a pervert, which I feel like should have happened in episode 1 with all the people talking to the little kids in the street.
Yeah, no, that one was much nicer than this one. Or I guess much more willing to put her kid at risk with strangers. Much more open. The episode continues with Gwen and Reese sitting in a diner waiting for Peter Capaldi to show up. And he's called like Ferrero Rocher or something.
Frobisher.
However, of course, he does not show up, and Lois shows up instead, and she's like, Peter Capaldi doesn't know anything about this, by the way, and he's not going to come even if he did. He's busy doing some stuff, and I'm just going to tell you all the information I know because they're trying to kill you, and I don't know why they're trying to kill you. Nobody tells me nothing, and I feel like I'm accidentally working for the bad guys if you guys are the good guys. And to which Reese is like, that's super interesting. Pies. I would like a pie. Because they are in a diner and they haven't ordered anything, and obviously they don't have any money or any food, and they were just sitting on top of potatoes for a while. So this is I'm glad they concluded this plot point is very important. To me.
Can I just read a review? This is a review from somebody who got halfway through this episode. This comes from H Casale 68303 on IMDb. The headline of the review says WTF. I'm halfway through season 3, episode 2. So far, it makes no sense. Why is Torchwood all of a sudden the bad guys, and the government is trying to kill them? ? 4 out of 18 people found this review helpful. He got halfway through the episode, and he just has no idea what the fuck is going on. Do you not think you could just watch the entire thing and try and understand? It's not that hard of a plot to follow, to be honest with you. Like, you understand why Torchwood are the bad guys being chased down by the government, right?
I love that that commitment to there's no way the government are the bad guys. They're the good guys, and if they're going after Torchwood, that must mean Torchwood's the bad guy. Like, does he work? Is he Lois? Did Lois write this? Is this notes from her computer? Like, what's going on? It doesn't make any sense.
It's a review. Like, four people found this review helpful, and it's like, I don't know who these 4 people are. Who the fuck found this helpful? It's...
Yeah.
And this is from August 2021, you know, during COVID, where the government have been proven again and again to be the bad guys.
I think, you know, maybe this is someone who during COVID had never watched Doctor Who before, had never watched Torchwood before, and was just binging through it like crazy, and wasn't expecting series 3 to be serialized because the other ones aren't, and so was like maybe not paying attention to the last episode and was like half watching this episode. And you know, it's COVID time, maybe they were sick, maybe they were feeling a bit delirious. You know, there's probably
giving
1,000
them
things
too much
going on
benefit of the doubt,
where they just weren't paying attention, or they're just dumb.
The latter, for sure.
I believe in humanity.
But yeah, Reese is fucking great in this scene. Of course, he's thinking with his stomach again, but he also thinks smartly. Hey, we'd look suspicious if we sit here and don't order food. So can we take your money so we can get some food? Makes complete sense.
To which, like, to which, Gwen is kind of like, not Gwen, sorry, Lois is like, I don't know if I want to, okay, I guess here's like if you're anybody in that situation, you go, oh yeah, fucking no bother.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that makes sense, of course. You know, I don't know, weird dramatized, like, ooh, I'm stingy with money. Like, I've never met a human being that's actually like that. But they get some. While that's happening, Captain Jack is back alive, and I tell you, his skin is looking fresh.
Yeah,
it's very smooth. It's very clean.
And this is
brand new almost.
This is the first time John Barrowman speaks in the episode. 41 minutes in. That's a shocking amount of time without seeing Captain Jack. You almost forget he's part of the show. To be honest, I kind of feel like this maybe could have been a tester to see, does this show work without Captain Jack? And I think it does, because following just Gwen and Yanto and Peter Capaldi, those are really interesting characters that we've been following throughout the entire episode. We don't really need Captain Jack at this point of the series, I feel like, to be honest with you.
I don't think we need Captain Jack, but I do think the show... You know, I think the show gets something from him being in it. You know, like he has a charm factor, and he's like a lovable enough character to still bring in new audiences. Yeah. You know, and bring in people that are familiar with Doctor Who but not with Torchwood. And if, you know, the series 3, this is airing on BBC One. Yeah. You know, like if you've never seen Torchwood before, you know Captain Jack. Oh, okay, this is a Doctor Who thing. You know, that it's a hook. He's a good hook in to introduce you to more compelling characters, I think.
Okay, fair.
Although I do think Captain Jack is compelling as fuck. As far like just any immortal character that has to deal with that is interesting.
And speaking of like immortal characters going through this, I feel like this episode was kind of the test run for the next season, Miracle Day. Because if you don't know the premise of Miracle Day, it's what if everyone in the world were now immortal? What would that look like? And there's a lot of body horror stuff that we go through. There's a scene where somebody gets burned in like a furnace. And, you know, any other person would be burned to a corpse. You know, they'd be ash. But this guy, his entire skin is burnt and shit like that. He's still alive. He's going through all the pain all the time. He can't even die even for a second, like Captain Jack dies for a second. You know what I mean? This is what I feel like Series 4 is based on. And the body horror elements of Series 4, some of the best of Torchwood Series 4. The story itself is way too long, but the body horror stuff is fantastic.
That genuinely does sound very, very interesting, actually, as far as like fucked up scenario goes. It's pretty cool. I think they do a good job hiding Captain Jack's dick. I didn't know how to transition from that into that, so because obviously they have a wide shot, and I've been looking. I've been trying to see if I'm like
there's security,
like a lump,
you see a lump, and there's it's bad security camera footage, and it's black and white. It's got those CRT lines all over the place.
It's and there's writing on top of it as well. Like it's they do it. I think it's a clever way of hiding his dick. Yeah. So it's just something I noticed, because you know it's just there on screen. Like, goddamn. But he's screaming, being like, "Hey, who did this to me? Come reveal yourselves. You know, face me like a man." To which our villain reveals herself to be like, "Ha ha 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 ha! I am no man," because actually she is a woman. And her name that we've met her several times before is...
You're just talking about penises?
Johnson.
Yes, there we go.
Johnson.
The script says that Johnson looks down upon Jack like Zeus did to Prometheus, which is a reference that flies over my head, to be honest. I don't know if you really get that reference, but
Prometheus stole fire from the gods?
Okay.
Is that what Prometheus did?
don't ask me. I get all these mythical
I think
figures
he did.
confused. But Johnson looks down upon...
Sorry, no, Prometheus was obviously directed by Ridley Scott.
Yes.
Prometheus is the Titan, a god of fire. Yes, he's best known for defying the Olympian gods by taking fire from them and giving it to mankind. And I think he's the guy that's punished and he has to push a rock up a hill and it falls back down and he has to push it back up again. And it falls back down. I think that's Prometheus.
Okay. I don't know anything about anything, so
How
I'll take your
was
word for it.
Prometheus punished? Zeus. Oh no, sorry. Let's see. Okay. He's liver guy. Zeus bound him to chairs, set an eagle to eat his immortal liver every day. So he is stuck in Miracle Day.
Okay.
Where he's just got a bird eating him.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go.
But does he have cement poured on him? Because I feel like that's worse. Getting cement poured all over you. I feel like that's worse.
I think both are bad.
But which one's
I think
worse?
the cement. Probably the bird. I'm gonna say probably the bird is worse, and this is my thinking here. So the bird eating your liver, you're getting eaten alive. Being eaten alive is like top 10 fear. That's absolutely terrifying. Probably one of the most painful things you could ever experience in your life. Sounds awful. Being buried in cement, also a top 10 fear. Pretty nasty. However, once you get buried in cement, at a certain point you are just cement.
But
So
Captain Jack keeps on dying and then reawaking inside the cement, presumably.
yeah.
So every
I'm
5 minutes,
assuming-
every 5 minutes he goes through the same cycle of dying, waking up, not being able to breathe, and then dying again.
Yeah. I don't know. Both are bad. If I had to choose one to die by, I don't know if I would choose either.
If you had to choose one.
Yeah. I don't know, because I'm like, if I chose the cement one, that sounds terrible and terrifying, but I really don't want to choose the bird one, so Sophie's
coward,
choice over
you
here.
absolute coward.
Yeah.
I
want both.
I would choose the bird because it seems like the least painful, or the least because
they both seem painful as fuck.
they both seem painful, but also the claustrophobia of being inside cement.
The claustrophobia is bad, yeah. Yeah. Although you are chained to like a chair or something,
Okay.
or with the you still can't move. But
being chained to
I guess you could
chair,
be outside.
you
You could be
you could be outside. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, the shot of Johnson looking down on Captain Jack is very nice. So she's just a face through a hole in the sky. And she's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to pour cement on you, as Yanto watches on from a distance, and all he can do is watch, because what the fuck's he going to do?
Yes.
He's just one guy.
Horrifying.
He's not... Yeah.
Imagine seeing the love of your life get covered in cement like this. Horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine seeing myself get cement poured on myself.
Oh, Matthew.
The back in the diner, Lois is like, hey, by the way, I have got a full, here's all the information you could ever want on the inner workings of this parliament bit that you're needing, because my job is a PA, so I'm super organized and I file everything and I'm super good at my job. And while they eat steak pie and chips, quite a shitty portion of chips, I might add. I would have liked some more. If I was ordering a pie and chips and you give me that shitty portion of chips, I'm gonna be like, that was a ripoff.
Oh, nowadays I always ask for chips and gravy and cheese, or chips, curry and cheese. Depends on my mood.
Wow.
Regular
Okay,
chips just doesn't do it for me.
Mr. Fancy Man. Mr. Fancy Man. Do you want to know what I do when I order chips?
Yes.
I put them in the oven because there's nowhere where I can order chips near me. I buy frozen chips.
You fucking live in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And this is his address. Poor mom.
Yeah.
I live like 2 doors away from a Chinese place, which is
That's dangerous. That's just dangerous, you know? Especially if it's good. Especially if it's a good Chinese place.
Yes, every time I walk to work or walk home from work, I walk past it and I just smell the food. I don't.
The walk home from work after payday would be a too easy for weakness to be like, well, I guess I can afford to go in here.
Oh, I haven't gone yet. I've lived here for 2.5 weeks now, so I haven't gone yet, which is
You've lived at this address. Anyway, fucking Gwen and Reese kidnap a man.
Yes, because Lois
almost bury him alive.
Yeah, because basically the information that Lois gives them is the route for the funeral guy who's going to take Ramesh's body, the guy who was murdered in episode 1, the doctor dude, not the doctor, but the doctor from last episode. The betrayer. Yes. But yeah, that's, again, really natural information. It makes sense as to why. It makes sense. Everything connects really well, you know. Mm-hmm. It makes sense because
does it make sense? I don't know if
it's just linear storytelling, which is nice, you know.
Yeah,
because you know, in Flux, remember Flux, about the same amount of episodes, about the same amount of runtime.
Yeah,
I have no idea what any character was doing in Flux. I have no idea what the fuck was going on.
You should rewatch it. I've seen Flux
you
3 times. I think I've watched it 3 times so far. It's pretty good.
So what would you rather do?
Wonderful.
What would you rather do? Be covered in cement, get your liver eaten by a bird, or watch Flux?
I would watch Flux. I would watch Flux all day. It baffles me so much, and it is genuinely so. But I think it's the right kind of bad, where I am having fun the entire time watching it because I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's crossed over from so bad it's unwatchable to so bad it's genuinely worth watching.
I don't think I'll ever be there, my friend. I think you've gone insane.
I recommend it.
I think you've gone insane. I think we need to call the police on you. You're a danger to yourself.
It is terrible. It is terrible, but it's so funny.
Just watch Children of Earth over and over instead. You'll have a much better time with a limited series.
We'll not be laughing as much. Like, where's the Sontaran? This is chocolate. Terrible. Terrible. Truly terrible. And it's impeccable. There is impeccable. Sorry, there is nothing like it. I've never watched a program like it. It's my favorite series of Doctor Who ever.
It was our first time covering new Doctor Who as well with Flux, and we were so excited.
What a time! What a time!
Horrible time.
But when they took this man out in a coffin in this episode of Torchwood,
yes,
when they steal this man, the entire time, all I was thinking was, if they close that lid, they're the worst humans alive. Absolute nightmare. Like, he doesn't. You could just like manhandle him and throw him to the side of the road. Why do you need to tie him to a coffin and hide him in the bushes?
Also,
who's going to find him?
Also, we need that coffin for cover. You know, if they arrive to the place
Yeah.
without the coffin, they're going to look suspicious. Even more less suspicious.
Thankfully, all the guards
yeah.
are shit.
Yeah.
Thankfully, all the guards are really bad at their job.
Because later on, they really do act suspicious as fuck.
They're immediately terrible at stealth. But back with Peter Capaldi and that, they're getting led in with the Prime Minister to see this interesting device that they've been building for ages to the specifications of the aliens, which is a giant cube.
Yes.
A giant glass cube, which we don't know the purpose of yet, but it's very mysterious.
And this scene was going to be the cliffhanger. It's for them, and then the credits, which would have been a bit of a shit cliffhanger. Of course, the episode was running under time, so the cliffhanger is instead a clip originally meant for the very start of episode 3. So clever stuff. I think the actual cliffhanger for this episode in the end works a lot better, honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think the cliffhanger of getting to know a little bit of information about the aliens, like this is the air that they presumably breathe or thrive in or whatever, this poison air, makes them seem even more like, holy shit, what the fuck are these things? I have to see it tomorrow.
And we'll get there, but it's genius because you leave off with Bridget asking all these questions. What could possibly go in there? And you're left for the next 23 hours to think about that yourself. You go to bed, you're thinking about those kind of questions yourself. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's very, very good. But in the meantime, some less good stuff. I think this entire sequence kind of made the episode fall apart a little bit for me. Which is Gwen and Reese's big stealth section, where they have to sneak into a base. They have some light comedy with a guard at the gate where he thinks his mate is dead and they're here to pick up his body, which is that guy, like, it's silly. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense why he would think or act that way, but it's very funny.
It's like a video game where you've got the option to do stealth, or you've got the option to just go in there, guns blazing.
And they start stealth and fuck it up. Yeah.
Or what I do is I start stealth, and I'm like, okay, how many other people do I have to take down? I've taken down 3 or 4. Oh, there's 50 more people. Okay, I'm just gonna fucking murder everyone. I'm gonna get this over done with quickly.
See,
I don't have patience.
We are different. We are different people, because if it is a stealth section, I am systematically taking my time, watching, studying the animations, and taking out everybody one at a time as silently as I can.
I just don't have patience.
I enjoy a nice stealth mission. I enjoy a good stealth mission. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I recommend Watch Dogs Legion, the third Watch Dogs game. Okay. If you play it on the super mega hardest difficulty with permadeath on, fucking brutal.
No,
game.
thank you.
Superb stealth in that. Love it. Anyway, inside the morgue, essentially, where they are keeping Captain Jack's body along with the other people that have died. One of the security guards tries flirting with Gwen. Which, like, you know, there's a time and a place, you know, like, shoot your shot, go for it, but surrounded by corpses, I'm not thinking anyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, I want to think about romantic stuff right now, you know, like, it's just not gonna work well for you. This is probably the
first lady.
Mom, Dad, how did you meet? Oh, well, your dad came up to me as I was next to this corpse.
Oh, that fucking reminds me of Clara's parents meeting. Like, Clara's dad stalks her mother. Remember that?
Yeah.
He stalks her mother for like
weeks. Because there was this leaf. Like,
ridiculous. But yeah, I feel like this is like the first contact he's had with a woman in God knows how long. I presume these are long hours, right? It was his long hours, and you don't have much of a social life, and most of the people who take the job of, oh, I'm going to take this corpse over here, are probably men, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine it's probably a disproportionate workforce for sure. Yeah. Not that there isn't women out there who want to move corpses around. I just don't think they're given the same opportunities as men that are passionate about that field. You know.
Well, what a weird field to get into.
I'm always curious about people like that get into either working in a morgue or like they're a doctor of like toenails. Like, what was it about that very specific thing that just completely engrossed you and like, this is what I want to do? But, you know, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it. So, anyway, this is where things fall apart. So they go inside, you know, Reese like yells at the man that Gwen is pregnant and you get to stop flirting with her, you son of a bitch, I'm really jealous. And they open up the thing to go inside to look at the corpse. It's not the corpse they're looking for.
Gwen does this huge movement.
Yeah.
Her zip.
Shut the fuck up,
She
bro.
does this zip movement. It's really exaggerated, which if you're watching with security camera, you'd be like, that's not normal. That's not normal behavior for an undertaker, you know, somebody who's going to take a corpse. Usually they'd be more professional than that. Something's up. Something's fishy here.
There's speaking of security cameras, because they come into play massively in this scene. It's a running theme throughout this episode that I actually kind of like, is this focus on surveillance. So we are constantly looking at webcams. We are seeing webcam footage. We are seeing security camera footage. Like throughout this entire episode, when they were way back at the ATM, we were seeing the camera through, you know, the ATM. We were cutting the shots off security cameras in the streets, and it just reinforces this idea of, you know, you're fighting the government, and the government is watching you. You know, there are eyes everywhere. You know, the walls have ears, sort of thing, where they're constantly looking, they're constantly listening, and it really, I think, builds to a crescendo in this episode when the guard that they have to beat is called Corporal Camera. I think it's a beautiful piece of poetry, that it's Corporal Camara, but written down looks like camera.
A lot of weird. Russell T Davies likes his weird names. Also, we just had Dot and Bubble with names like Dr. P.
I mean, Ruby Sunday. Yes. She's called Ruby Sunday. Is a strange name.
But, you know, Colonel Sanders.
I mean, that's what happens when you're named after a street sign. Am I right?
A street sign that wasn't there on the night. Yeah. Okay.
Nah, I was there. She was pointing at it for everyone to see. Everyone that she knew was there watching.
Oh God.
But yeah, they knock out Corporal Camera.
Yeah.
After Gwen, she's got basically a sonic screwdriver. She turns off the camera. Corporal Camera's like, "Yo, everything's all right. Don't worry, just a technical glitch." Then she knocks him out. Mm-hmm. They leave. There's another camera. Gwen's like, "Oh, well, I'm just going to turn that one off as well. Nothing to worry about. Let's lock this door. Let's open up this door. Oh, there's another camera. Well, I'm just going to turn this camera off as well." Yeah. At that point, the guy's like, "Okay, I'm just going to hit the buzzer because it's so fuck. What the fuck was their plan coming into this?"
It makes no sense. And she turns off the cameras while standing in front of the cameras.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Yeah, looking at the camera.
You know, she doesn't. You know, she doesn't put her arm through the door and then aim for the camera that way. She instead points directly to the camera. Or get Reese to go
stand out looking at something while she sneaks under the camera, you know, try and get out of the way of the lens or something. Yeah. She's just, she makes it as obvious. She's no subtlety to her at all.
Yes.
No stealth, no stealth points at all. But this leads to Gwen shooting open the lock of the last door to find a concrete wall, which is, of course, the hellscape that Captain Jack has found himself in, as that is his prison cell. Then gunfire, guards surround them from all sides. Johnson appears, and she's like, "You're cooked. We've got you now. You're under arrest." And then lo and behold, no, they're not, because Yanto's here to save the day as the wall gets ripped out that contains Captain Jack, because he has stolen a forklift. And what a way to make an entrance for a character that's been gone for a sudden large chunk of this episode. He really vanishes in this back half.
Yeah. Oh God, fucking. Sorry. Am I still audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes,
my
you are
earphones
sponsored by
disconnected
Audible.
and then things went wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, you really forget about Yanto at this point of the episode because it's been a good 5 minutes since you last saw him. So when he does come in at the end, you are shocked. You are like, oh my God, thank God, because you can't think of any other way that Gwen and Reese can get out of a situation. You're just left to believe we're doomed for him, and it really works out. It's really well written stuff.
Yeah, and they managed a daring quick escape away from everybody that's trying to hunt them down, and end up driving into a quarry. Classic Doctor Who time, where we are, what's more iconic than a quarry in Doctor Who? They hang over the giant grave for Captain Jack. They hang it over the edge of the quarry. They hang it over the edge of the quarry. They continue to hang it over the edge of the quarry. And then after that, they continue to hang it over the edge of the quarry for a little bit longer before deciding to let it hang over the edge of the quarry, as they let it hang over the edge of the quarry before it hangs over the edge of the quarry, and then they drop it.
This cliffhanger goes on for... Well, it's not even... I guess it
Literally
is a cliffhanger. Oh my God. All we need is Sylvester McCoy hanging on with his little umbrella. But yeah, this literal cliffhanger goes on for quite a bit, and it gets to a point of just get on with it, please. It's almost 10 o'clock. I'm getting tired. Please just end the episode so I can go to bed.
Yeah, they do. And I wonder if that is also part of the episode running short. So let's slow down some of this footage. Let's repeat this shot here. Let's extend this sequence as long as we can get away with it. But Captain Jack comes out miraculously unharmed from the fall.
I mean, he does come back to life, so he is dead at this point, but he comes back to life. Not a scratch on him. He doesn't need a heal at this point. He's completely fine almost, He's just buck naked, and that is America's ass.
He is.
That is America's ass. Don't even say otherwise.
He is very naked, to which, There, it leads to a moment with Gwen, which I was like, that feels out of place, for like the tone that we're going for here. Where like it feels like suddenly we're back in season 1 Torchwood, where when Captain Jack is walking away from her after she's given him the coat, she's like, oh fucking, look, you see his penis, oh, you see that dick, where I'm like, is that something that Series 3 Gwen is really going to be interested in doing with Jack?
It does feel...
Like, you've seen him naked 1,000 times!
When we did Adrift, he was fucking all over the place,
Yeah, like, this isn't the first time you've seen Captain Jack's penis. This is just...
But of course, it's John Barrowman, so we have to get a reference with his penis. Which, But... at least there's reason for him to be naked here. It's not like, oh, we're a young, sexy, attractive show. Let's have nudity every single episode like it used to be. There's no need for sex gas in this episode. This is more mature stuff.
Yeah. Although there is still gas in this episode. It's just poison gas, not sexy gas. Speaking of which, that leads us into the final scene, which we did talk about a little bit before, with Creepy Man explaining that, hey, this is the air that they maybe breathe, or that they fart, or that they like eat or something. I'm not really sure what its purpose is, but they're coming tomorrow. We filled it out, and it's just you see the poison clouds fill in, and it's just like this perfect white smoke filling. It's very ominous. It's very spooky looking. And then he like walks up to it, and he's like, I love this box.
Yeah, he
and it's
breathes
very
air on the
strange.
box. Yeah, it's really and there's a line of he asks Frobisher, "Have you been here before?" And Frobisher kind of avoids the question there, and it's it's a much better cliffhanger than the original cliffhanger, where it's just, oh, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Here we at least ask some questions that we're left with. You know, the audience is left with a lot of questions. Why do we need the gas? Think about that.
Why?
Think about that for
Why
next
do
week.
we need the gas? Is it for farting? Is it fart gas? And then you're gonna fart it? But yeah, but that, on that note of farts, it brings us to the end of day 2. An episode that I enjoyed even more watching it the second time than I did the first time. The first time I came away from the episode being like, that was all right. That was fun. I think it maintained, it kept me entertained, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed episode 1, because episode 1's a lot more plot heavy, and this is very little progress being made in terms of plot. Our characters run away and they go into hiding is basically everything that happens in this episode. But it is entertaining. It's fun. The body horror stuff's fucking genuinely really good. The drama stuff with Peter Capaldi is my favorite stuff in the story so far. I'm not super into the Gwen stuff at the minute. I'm still obviously engaged with it and enjoying it. But it's probably bottom tier. Actually, Lois is bottom tier of things I care about in this episode or in this story so far. And Gwen, and that's above that. And then maybe Yanto's middling, just because the Captain Jack stuff is actually below Gwen. So, yeah. I need to think about it more. But Capaldi's number 1 for me. I'm super into that storyline and that character, and I think his performance is fucking phenomenal. But what did you think of this episode?
Yeah. If you could point to any episode of this 5-part series and say, this is filler, this is probably the one you'd point to the most. But I still appreciate the fact that it is still episodic television, because nowadays when you get your Stranger Things or whatever, it doesn't really have an episodic format. You can't really watch an episode and get a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. Here, you get a beginning, middle, and end. It's especially with the Captain Jack character, who goes through a whole ordeal in this 24 hours. Holy shit. What a rough day for the dude. But yeah, as you said, just every character just hits it out of the park. Peter Capaldi is fucking fantastic. You don't even think about the fact that he plays Doctor Who when you're watching his performance here. It's just is John Frobisher, and I think you're beginning to see why Stephen Moffat didn't mention his Torchwood connection when he did the whole this is I'm the Roman guy,
I wish he didn't even answer the Roman guy
no,
thing,
that's
honestly.
ridiculous. No.
Yeah. Especially the way that they answer it, where it's in a random episode in series 2 of Capaldi's thing, where he's like, "Oh, I suddenly remember, holy shit!" And it's you're just trying to end this storyline quick so you can get onto the stuff with me. You don't want to wrap this up, but yeah. Terrible.
But yeah, really good episode, and I'm looking forward to covering the next 3 episodes, because shit is about to hit the fan.
We shall see. I look forward to getting on to watching episode 3 very soon. Maybe tomorrow with breakfast.
Oh, perfect.
We will see. I have family coming around. It might be the only opportunity I get to watch it. But we will be back next Friday with Torchwood Children of Earth Day 3. So be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube at Who Watches Who to watch that video, that podcast in video form if you like, or if you prefer to listen in audio form, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Actually, Google Podcasts might not be a thing anymore. Apparently that's dead. But
okay, rest in peace.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there. Just search Who Watches Who or click one of the many links in the description or use the RSS feed. You can follow us on Twitter at Watches Doctor, on Facebook at Who Watches Who. There's a Discord that you could join. You can follow me on Twitter at Cloth223. You can buy my book, Can you taste the color orange? It's exactly like Children of Earth. I 100% guarantee it is exactly like, it's the exact same. I just wrote down Children of Earth. That's all I did. And then I changed all the names and some minor details. But other than that, it's Children of Earth. And until then, we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.